Ahoy folks, and welcome back to Broadside Gaming with me, Zug. So today we're carrying on with our updated build guides for all of the classes in Darktide, and we're having a look at the Psyker. So I had a bit of trouble with this one, with the new build paths and whatnot. It was a little bit confusing, but we got there in the end. So let's dive in and see what we are using. So first of all, we'll look at the gear, as always. We're starting off with the Demius Mark IV Blaze Force Sword. I always loved this weapon. I just liked it for being able to crack armor, and it's even better now because we can finally build it how we want. So, how are we working out the stat spread? As per usual with me, my dump stat is mobility. Now, I know people are going to jump in and say, why aren't you using the dueling sword? Why blah, 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 blah. The dueling sword is absolutely amazing. It's great. If you want to switch over to use the dueling sword, go for it. But with this build, we're using the Force Sword because we want deflection. And deflection is absolutely lovely. It allows us to basically Jedi mind trick bullets away from us. And also, it's just really good for cracking crushers, maulers, bulwarks. It's just a massively well-rounded weapon, and I've always had a soft spot for it. And as you can see, the spread, 80% in everything that is going to help us, and mobility is now the dump because I don't like mobility. It's overrated. I'm not a zealot. So, but saying that, I am about to become a massive hypocrite because we are running a stamina trinket to help us with mobility. Anyway, let's forget that and let's carry on. So there we go. That's our ranged weapon, melee weapon even. I'm lying again. There we go. And next up is the staff. We're using the Surge Staff. It doesn't actually say Surge Staff on it anymore. It's now called the Electrokinetic Force Staff Normanus Mark VI. It's a Surge Staff. There we go. And for that, we're taking on the spread everything that is going to help us do more damage and keep damaging, and we're going to use Quell Speed as our dump. Because it doesn't take that long to quell these weapons. And we've got talents that help us with that later anyway. So, most importantly, what we want is damage and critical bonus. They are the must-haves at 80%. The other two, I'd like to have them at 80%, but if you want to even out the score a little bit more, you could always drop them down by 5% and have Quell Speed up at 70 as well. And as for the perks, we are using a Carapace and Unyielding. Sorry, I didn't actually mention the perks on the sword. We're using Carapace and Maniac. Again, it is for cracking harder targets and getting rid of those pesky specials. Sorry, back to the staff now. We're using Carapace Unyielding. This is going to help us with boss damage and doing a lot more damage to mixed hordes, as mixed hordes are going to be mostly the problem. We don't care about chaff. We have ways of dealing with chaff. We don't need to spec into it. And also, that's what zealots are for, and Ogrins. Go and have fun with the hordes, guys. We'll deal with everything else. Now, blessings-wise, this is going to be a bit of a weird mix. Warp Nexus, as always, gain between 5 and 20% critical chance based on your current level of peril. We're going to be riding perils around 60 to 70% is going to be our minimum we want to be at. So it's quite chancy. So you basically peril up to about 95, 97%, quill down to 60, back up again. And that's where we're going to be riding it. So we're getting the most out of Warp Nexus and some of our other talents that give us plus damage to higher perils. And we're taking Surge, not because we want the 2 shots and critical hit. We don't care about that. That's rubbish. What we want is the increased crit chance, because this is a tailor-made build for crit. I mean, we could dump out either Carapace or Carapace mainly, and put crit back on, but it doesn't work out mathematically. Taking Carapace out, adding 5% crit, we may get slightly more damage across all targets, but we're losing a huge amount of damage on the hard targets we need to focus on, which is why we're not taking 5% crit and we are taking Carapace. I hope that makes sense. Next up, we are taking 2 toughness curios at 17% with extra toughness, combat ability generation, and of course, damage resistance gunners, because they are what are going to shred us in this game. They always have, they always will. Gunners are the bane of our existence. It's also why we're taking Deflector, because this is going to help us proactively deal with gunners and avoid chip damage. When we aren't able to do damage, we can block and get ourselves into a better position. So that is the 2 toughness curios. And the third one is a stamina curio, because as much as I moan about mobility, we need it not just for mobility. This is also giving us the ability to use deflection and block more, because more stamina, more ability to block. So it's not just movement. Movement is a very small part of stamina. So yeah, I've explained it poorly. We're taking the stamina because we want to be able to block more. Yes, it is going to give us a little bit more movement by sprinting and whatnot, because we have more stamina to do that, but it's mostly to block. So this pairs with deflection really, really nicely. Now, I've thoroughly confused you with my back and forth and all the weapons and gear. Let's take a look at the talents. Now, I've been staring at these talents for a very long time, and they upset me greatly because I don't understand what's going on anymore. But this is what we're going with. We're going with Soul Stealer, replenish 7.5% toughness or warp attack. Perilous Combustion, killing an elite or a special enemy, applies 3 stacks of Soul Blaze to nearby enemies, causing damage over time. Basically, we set people on fire. Quietude, replenish 5% toughness for each 10% of perils quelled. We're going to be quelling continuously. Battle Meditation, a 10% chance to quell 10% peril on kill. Grabbing the toughness node here and the toughness node here. And then we're grabbing Smite. So Smite has been massively buffed with the update to Empowered Psionics. So we are doing a lot more damage. And then we're taking Lightning Storm, increase the number of times your Smite jumps by 1. Peril Resistance. Wildfire, when an enemy dies while affected by your Soul Blaze, nearby enemies each gain up to 4 stacks of Soul Blaze. They cannot gain more stacks than the dying enemy had. Psykinetics Aura, decrease the ability cooldown for you and allies in coherency by 5% on elite or special kill. We're going to have a lot of cooldown on this so that we can just spam Venting Shriek. Toughness damage reduction. Seer's Presence, cooldown reduction on abilities for you and your allies in coherency. Now, we're taking this instead of prescience, because again, we are stacking huge amounts of crit, but this gives us far more utility and survivability, because we can use Venting Shriek more, which gets rid of more perils, it knocks things back, it spreads around Soul Blaze, and it all round is just a very big cog in this machine of a build. Yes, this will give us just flat damage, but this will give us utility and survivability. Then we're coming down here to one with the warp, gain toughness damage reduction of 10 to 33% based on your current peril. Venting Shriek, unleash a wave of warp energies that stagger enemies in front of you, quelling at 50% perils, base cooldown 30 seconds. Then we're taking Becalming Eruption. Venting Shriek now decreases peril generation by 1% for each enemy hit, stacking 25 times, last 5 seconds. I mean, it's alright, it's not great. And then we're taking Creeping Flames. Venting Shriek applies 1 to 6 stacks of Soul Blaze to targets hit based on your current peril. We're going to be up really high perils most of the time anyway, so this is just going to help us spread that flame around. And let's start on the left here. We're taking Solidarity, increase coil speed by 30%. As you can see, coil speed is down on that, but it's being made up for in the build. Taking the toughness damage reduction here, and Empiric Resolve, which is a lovely new talent, minus 40% peril generation, minus 30% toughness replenishment. So we generate toughness back a bit slower, but we also generate a lot less perils. So pretty decent trade-off. Over here on the right, we're going for more crit. And we're taking Kinetic Deflection. While below critical peril, blocking an attack causes you to gain peril instead of losing stamina. Gained peril is 25% of the blocked attack's stamina cost, which is also why we are taking more stamina, because Kinetic Deflection is absolutely amazing, paired with stamina and deflection on the sword. And then down the middle tree, we're going to our Keystone with a health boost. Into Warp Rider, deal up to 20% damage increased as your peril is increased. Toughness. Empowered Psionics. Kills have a 7.5% chance to empower your next Blitz ability, which is Smite for us. Empowered Smite does plus 200% damage and 50% faster spread between enemies. Overpowering Souls, guaranteed chance to gain empowered psionics on elite kill. And charged up, you can now hold 3 stacks of empowered psionics. So as you can see, this is making our Smite incredibly unpleasant. Now, for the playstyle. It's a Surge Staff. You just do Surge Staff stuff with it. Really good for breaking down mixed hordes. You don't really have to aim it. Aim in the general direction of what you want killed. And just let the lightning do the rest. As you can see, as you're getting perils up. So this is about where you want to be. If you get a bit worried, you can vent down to 60 or 70. And you want to ride it around there to keep that crit rolling. But do remember, if things go horribly wrong and you misjudge it, or just stuff happens, Venting Shriek will save you. And everyone loves being saved by Venting Shriek. Now, as you can see, we've got 3 stacks of empowered psionics, which means our Blitz ability is all charged up and ready to rock and roll. Now, don't just use Smite. Smite is a very powerful tool, but it is not your only tool. When you want to be using it is you need to judge on the incoming wave that your team is going to face. If it's a mixed horde where you've got armor, specials, rages, then by all means let the Smite fly. But if it's just a little incoming wave, you could probably do more with your Surge Staff. Smite is there to help you and your team. It is not the only tool in your arsenal. Don't fall into that trap. And it does quite a lot of damage. And it allows your team to safely deal with specials that would otherwise be quite annoying. You can use it to just lock down a disabler. For example, the netter, the dogs, the mutants. Just so your team stays a little bit safer. And also you can lock down heavy targets. Which is why I'm suggesting mixed hordes are what you want to be using this on. But once you get more confident with the build, you'll start feeling when and where to use it. Because a lot of people will say, what's the point of disabling something when you can just do damage and kill it? Which is a fair point. But Smite does do an awful lot of damage. So you're not just standing there doing not much. You are disabling the disablers and also doing quite a bit of damage to them at the same time. You've just got to kind of feel that balance, really. Now, as for the Demios sword, I've shown this off a lot. Shut up, Stephanie. I've shown this off quite a lot, and I'll do it again. With deflection and uncanny strikes, you can get a hell of a lot of damage backed up pretty quickly. So when you need to, you can charge up the sword and really give it to heavier armor. That's a special action button to charge it. And try and aim for a headshot. It's got very, very nice attacks for headshots. There's the slash, and then there's the jab. So even without charging it, it does quite a bit of damage. But there you go. That is the Surge build for the Psyker. Hope you guys enjoy it, and if you do, please do like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. It really does help us out. And I shall see you all for the next one. So until then, take it easy, and see you later.